How hard did you push it till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
Welcome back, MuniciPals. This is Chris and Ashton. We are talking the City by the Bay, public golf, municipal, all things, everything San Francisco golf. What's up, Ashton? How you doing this week?
Hello, sir. It's very nice to talk to you. I was joking before we pressed record. I've spent a lot of time kind of sharing you with other people, and I don't like it, man. I mean, I miss our one-on-one time. I miss being simpatico with you, which I think simpatico doesn't mean that, but in my mind, it meant just spending time with you. So very happy to be on with you discussing. I know you are not a resident of San Francisco. I am a resident, but a place that means a lot to both of us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's great to be a one-on-one solo dolo, just me and you, getting it in. I've had some few guests on the last pods, but we decided that we were going to get into San Francisco municipal public golf. San Francisco, as most people know, is heavy on the private side. I would say most people know San Francisco more about the private tracks that they have, in Cal Club and San Francisco Club and, Lake Merced and, all the other, courses around the Bay. But I think what's lost in the sauce is kind of, the public options that are in the city. I mean, you can speak on it heavily living there. This is your second, term in the city here, and just the public tracks that we get the privilege to play on a regular basis is just incredible.
Yeah, and I think the other option too that I really appreciate is for how small. I mean, most of our listeners are likely going to be Bay Area based, but San Francisco is 7 miles by 7 miles. It's not a big area. So to just have even one good golf course is incredible, and we've got a bunch. The other thing I really appreciate, it's going to sound like millennial. I've gotten some texts about me being a snowflake, so I'm just going to lean into that. That's for my mom, actually. My mom has been enjoying the podcast and making jokes about one. She says, "I like that Chris guy." I agree.
Yes, I love Miss Moss. I haven't even met her yet.
She's made comments about, you enjoying the hot dog, which is, another big thing. But yeah, she loves me calling myself a snowflake. So hate that, but also love that too.
Oh, I love it. I love Miss Moss for that take specifically.
But going back to me being a snowflake, I like that San Francisco, you can find whatever course fits the vibe you're in, right? The mood that you're in. Like if you want to go have what I think is probably the toughest test of golf, go play the Presidio, play the back tees and hit cups. It's going to be a really hard test of golf, especially if you've never played there before. If you are going for more of, and I don't mean any sauce on this, I like this. If you want to go play where the pros played and hit Colin Morikawa's drive, there's that at Harding Park, right? Which is, if you're a resident, it's going to be a great rate. If you're not, you're going to get crucified. But that's also the way public golf should be. It's like Torrey Pines, right? You're a local, come play. If you're not, we're going to crush you. And that's okay. I'm no problems with that model, and very much appreciate that last Monday I paid $51 for my tee time at Harding Park. Gleneagles, you've already talked about it. We'll talk about it. I do have to fact check you. I think I listened back to our first pod. I think you said on a Thursday, people could lose $500,000 out there. Maybe that's true. We need to get those people on to tell those stories. But the point is, it's much more about local knowledge, betting. Conditions are they are what they are. But we'll talk about some condition things that they claim in a bit. And then there's, I know, a big fan of many fans in our RGC group love Lincoln. I think Lincoln is very vibey. I don't think Lincoln is the best course. Mainly because the greens are just not very good. But Lincoln, for those who haven't played there, like it's always kind of foggy. You're playing over by the Legion of Honor. You've got a really good view of the bridge. It's just kind of its own thing. So, I mean, just to have all of these options is really special. And then one thing, I've not played there, but Golden Gate Park Golf Course, a par 3 course.
Right. It's a shame that you have not played Golden Gate Park yet.
I know, and we'll rectify that soon. But I think that's what I appreciate about the city. First of all, the plethora of golf options, and then the fact of like whether you want a serious round where you're going to really challenge yourself, or just like, yo, Chris, let's just go get a bunch of tall boys and go, it's kind of a very non-serious skins game at Golden Gate Park. It's amazing that a city this small can have that many golf options. Wouldn't you agree?
For sure. And that's one of my favorite things. And you get a different atmosphere and a different test of golf at every single one of those courses. You go to Golden Gate Park and it's a par 3 track in the middle of Golden Gate Park. If you've ever been to, San Francisco, their version, I guess, of, Central Park in New York is Golden Gate. And Golden Gate is known for, its vast areas of lawn for people to have picnics and play games and hang out. And then there's the flower garden, and there's a lot of things to do in Golden Gate Park. And then hidden inside of the park that most people don't even know exists, you talk to a lot of San Franciscans or a lot of people that transplanted into the city, they have no clue that there's a par 3 golf course smack dab in the middle of it, right next to the windmill. And it's just one of my favorite places. I could spend an entire day just at Golden Gate Park. I could walk around with 4 clubs, play that entire track all day, buying tall boys from the little, I don't know if they've renovated it yet. Unfortunately, their clubhouse burned down. So the clubhouse at Golden Gate Park burned down, and they had a little trailer out there that they turned into their clubhouse for a time. And I think they're still in the trailer. I don't know if they've rebuilt the clubhouse yet, but they also have the first tee is located out at Golden Gate. So for anybody that has kids, if you have not entered your kids into the first tee program, as a coach myself, it's one of the coolest, organizations to get kids involved in golf as well. So, Golden Gate Park just has the family vibes you're looking for when you're in the city. And I would say if you have family or trying to get your kids into golf and you're in the city, Golden Gate Park is the way to be. Or if you're just trying to spend an afternoon on a sunny Sunday and drop $30, $40 to play all day, basically, it's a no-brainer there. Absolutely. We got to definitely get you out there and play, because it's one of my favorite courses, I would say, in the Bay Area. And even though it's a par 3, it's prime. I mean, the greens are always in pretty good shape. The whole course is just fun. I really enjoy it. And the little 9th hole is a little long tester to kind of get you back to the clubhouse, which is really fun. I think it's like just over 210. It's one of the coolest little tests of golf. You range from holes going from 90 yards all the way to like 210, 215, which is, just a fun afternoon. And then, we get into after Golden Gate Park, like you said, a lot of the guys in RGC are huge fans of Lincoln Park. Me and you, we both have our specific takes on that. I'll let you start. What are your thoughts and vibes on Lincoln Park?
I think to start off with the good, and there's a lot of good, I think that Lincoln Park it's the most like everyman golf course of all of them. I would say even more than Gleneagles. And again, I'm not trying to say like a 9-hole course isn't as real, but especially for being like a true 18-hole track, it's certainly the most everyman, right? Like, I mean, at Harding, I know partly this is due to COVID, but like you have to have a tee time to use the practice range, right? Harding's kind of got that little bit of a proper vibe, as does Presidio. But I think what I like about Lincoln is when we go there, what I often see is like, there's people, we've talked about this on the pod before, but I see people wearing like jeans and people who like, I mean this in a polite way, but like people who don't look like golfers playing golf. And I like that, right? Because, you know, you don't have to wear a Tiger Woods mock polo, or you don't have to like, you know, have a perfect set of clubs that are tricked out like you to play golf. And I think that there's a lot of like, you know, guys wearing jean shorts, but guys don't wear jean shorts. That's just a PSA. But, you know, guys wearing like jean shorts, and they have those pull cards there that look like it only makes it harder, you know. It does not look helpful, especially because Lincoln is
the everyman's course in San Francisco.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I really, really enjoy. And also, too, I feel like every time I've played there, it tends to be kind of where I'm one of the first groups off. And there's something like very appealing about playing. You're playing in the fog. It's chilly. You're right there. I mean, I think that what I struggle with is many people in our group I've seen, they talk about how Lincoln really has has character. And what I interpret that character to be is like, well, I agree there's character, but we also can't.
And there's characters that run the course, and I think that might be also what is crossed.
Yeah, I think my tough part is I'm here for all of it. There's a lot of quirky, weird holes. I'm fine with that, but I think, to quote Tiger Woods for the day, conditions are tough. Like the last time I played there, we were on like the 10th or 11th hole, and somebody said, "Man, these greens are slimy."
That was me.
Yeah. Okay. And like, I think we can both agree we're not agronomists. You don't want that, right? No. So I think that's the hard part. Like if the greens were like, actually, I'll ask you because I never played there. Are the greens better at Golden Gate Park golf course, the par 3?
I would take the greens at Golden Gate Park over Lincoln every time.
And that's the crux of it. That's what I struggle with. Again, I think that it's fun to play there because there are certain holes where it's like, you know, they're taking the driver out of your hand in a fun way. Like hit a 6-iron. You have to hit a hook around the corner. It's a lot of quirky stuff, but I just wish the conditions were a bit better. That's all. And the other thing with that in mind that I'll add on, if it was $18, I'd be way more cool with it. The tough part is I have the San Francisco resident card, and Lincoln is pretty close to what Harding is. And like, I know Harding is sort of the opposite where like it has no character. That's sort of the take. But like Harding Park and Lincoln Park, like being about the same in cost, like that doesn't jive. Or like, I just wish if Lincoln either had better greens or for what they're charging, I just think the greens should be in better shape. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so there's the city championship that they hold in San Francisco every year. It's actually one of the longest running championships in the United States, for any sport, any level of sport. And so it's played between Lincoln and Harding. And so everybody always says, if you can make it through the conditions of Lincoln, Harding is a cakewalk, which if you've ever played both of the courses, Harding for sure is a longer, harder test of golf. And there's a reason why they played a PGA championship at Harding Park. In Lincoln, the reason people say that is because the conditions are in such rough shape that it makes it more challenging because you're hitting off of such insane lies at all times throughout the course. And it's sad because the amount of money that the city, and they're both city-owned golf courses. TPC Harding Park is also paired with, the PGA. It is a TPC course, so they do get help in that aspect as well. But if they could just put in the amount of time and effort and money that they have put into Harding, into Lincoln, it can be a world-class golf course among all courses that people talk about on all the ratings lists. If they could get, you're one of the top guys in there. We've talked multiple times after we play a lot of the Southern Californian Gil Hanse tracks is what he did at Soul Park. If he could bring what he did there to Lincoln, we talked about this throughout the entire round of our Soul Park round, is if he could bring those vibes to Lincoln and do what he did there, it would be a world-class golf course. It'd be incredible. The views that you get throughout the golf course at Lincoln are unmatched. like you just said, you get the San Francisco cityscape, you've got the Pacific Ocean, the Golden Gate Bridge, the Legion of Honor Museum. It's just, you get to view all of that, right on tee boxes and greens. And it's just running right through all of the beautiful trees in the cityscape of San Francisco. It's absolutely a beautiful landscape. It's just sad to see that it is so unkept. It's just, it hurts me inside when I go and play that. And we've got, our boys like Juan, who is he is a resident. Other than his home in San Francisco, he lives at Lincoln, and that is his track. He will die at that track, and he will defend that track. But, I will fight him to the death on conditions. And if you're, like you said, if you live in the city and you've got the city card, it's hard to not pay I don't know the difference, but I can't imagine it's more than $15 or $20 difference between Harding and Lincoln. What's the difference in costs?
I don't know, but I think it's about that. Yeah. I think this is not good for the podcast, but I think last time I looked, I thought Lincoln was 38, and then I think like Harding was 51, and like $13 for like the condition. Like, you can say a lot about Harding, like the greens aren't always perfect, but it is a public golf course that has a lot of conditions, or has a lot of people on it. Greens are in very good shape, and like the rest of the course is immaculate. So I mean, and the thing is, I've only played, I think I've played Lincoln 5 times. Every single time you just leave wanting more. Because I mean, I know where Juan's coming from. Because also too, the thing that should be said is it's a quirky short course. There are some really hard holes. Like on the back 9, there's like a par 5 where there's like a chute. It's like super long. There's like a chute, like it feels like it's like 5 feet to hit it in. And if you lose it right, you're in the trees. Use it left. There's a lot of really hard holes. But then you get on the green and it's like, should we just play auto 2-putt? Because again, the greens are, I've never played a course where I called the greens slimy. That's just, and then right near there, because you might be like, oh, it might be the location. Right near there is the Presidio, which has, in my opinion, the best greens of all of them. Like the Presidio's greens are far better than Harding. Presidio's one of the best condition courses I've ever played, and it's what, half a mile maybe?
And let's talk there. So we talked about Lincoln there, and again, we both really enjoy the landscape and the layout of the track. The conditions are what really gets us with Lincoln. But going into Presidio, I would say Presidio is the residence course in San Francisco. A lot of people thinking of San Francisco public golf are instantly going to think of TPC Harding Park. I would say if you're a resident of San Francisco and you ask somebody what the best golf course in San Francisco is, hands down, I would say, 8 out of 10 people are going to tell you it's Presidio. And you living in the city and playing Presidio, fairly often, what would you say puts Presidio over the edge over any other public course that we have in the city?
I think conditions are fantastic. The entire thing. Like there's sand in the bunkers. I know listening back to last week's pod, you and Star Wars getting a little bit angry on that trip last time, but no, legitimately, like the bunkers are in great shape. The fairways are good. The greens are good. Like conditions first and foremost are great. The routing is fantastic, like very engaging, especially the back 9. I would say that some of my favorite memories in San Francisco, like one of my favorite things was I've never played it in the morning. Actually, I feel like I always play in the afternoon, but I've played there enough that that's kind of how I want to do it. Because when you go over the road that's 10, 11, down the hill on 12, the very long, very challenging par 4, then you play a par 3, and then like that's kind of where you like. I feel like wherever I started to play, the sun starts to set. And you're just, because you're literally, for those folks who aren't from San Francisco, the Presidio is basically like you're effectively in, picture like those old San Francisco forests, like that's where you are. So you're literally on this, like there's nobody out there. There's no houses, there's nothing out there. And then you stand on the tee box on 15 and you're overlooking the Sutro Tower, you're overlooking the city. It's perfectly quiet. Usually the fog's kind of rolling in, and you're just like, this is incredible. Like, you're just getting, it's everything we love about San Francisco, where you're getting the lush green grass, you're getting the trees, you're getting views of the city. If you kind of listen carefully, I feel like you can hear birds, and you can also hear like the long distance of like a bus like 2 miles away. It's very much like city golf in the forest. And I think that's really special. And then the other thing too that I enjoy about playing in the evenings, it's a bit hard for the score, but normally your starts around at 1 o'clock, and if you're picking the right day, it's 65 degrees, it's sunny, you're wearing maybe like a long sleeve shirt and like a vest, and you get on that back nine and the fog starts rolling in on like number 17. And I mean, the fog is like rolling in, and like you're watching your ball go nowhere. And normally on 18, you're chasing daylight, and it gets spooky. I mean, it gets like you're watching the fog like haul ass across this par five.
Yeah, Carl's a dick.
Yeah, it really affects your golf ball. Like you can just feel the difference. But I think that, and when you combine all those things together, there's not one thing, but really good routing, really great conditions. It just makes for a really, really, really nice time. The one thing I will say, especially now, because this isn't a knock on them, it just is a matter of fact. I got an email from them yesterday. Their rates have always been a bit high and are getting higher. So one of my personal gripes, though, is that one thing that was always okay for me is they always, even on weekends, they had a walking rate regardless of time. So I think that I remember when I lived here last time, it'd be $65 to walk in the weekend if you're a resident. And that's not unreasonable, right? I mean, that's like, okay, for like a course this good in San Francisco, for sure. One thing that's tough now is they're saying on weekends, whether you have a cart or not, you're charged a cart fee. So now 65 has become 95. And look, it's a great golf course, but I'm not going to lie, 95 starts to get to the point where I'm like, should I go see Big Chris and put that hybrid in the bag and just take this week off? Like $95 is, what we talked about, like with our last trip, was like Sandpiper, the absolute most expensive course we played, right? I mean, for $95, you got to be talking about a really special experience, and it is. But the point is, would I feel comfortable playing like that every single weekend? Like, I'm not trying to drop $400 a month on 4 golf rounds, right? I mean, I played this last weekend at Chardonnay and had an absolute blast, and it was $60. I had to carry my bag. I know, especially for the MuniciPals idea, we're trying to have affordable golf, and $95 is pushing the limit for a weekend round. I think you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say both of us would say our target, rate that we would like to see is $40 to $60 walking. If you are a rider, we're never going to hate on that. I am one to use a cart from time to time. And I would say, max we want to see with a cart between 70 and 80. And I would say that's very, very reasonable. When you're at the $95 to $100 rate with the cart, it just, and you're an avid golfer like we are. Yeah, I would say we get out every single weekend, if not multiple times in a week if we can. And when you're paying $100 a round, for an average guy like us, it gets expensive. $200 a week on golf outings is a little steep. So, we're always hunting for the deals, and unfortunately, Presidio, at the rate that it was for the residents, it was why a lot of, residents claimed it as their home course, because it was affordable, able to go to, and it, if you've never been to the city or you don't know much about the city, the Presidio is a ex-military base that was built within San Francisco that has some of the most beautiful military buildings built throughout the Presidio that are now museums and restaurants and homes, and some of the most expensive homes in all of San Francisco are in the Presidio, pushing, I don't even want to give a number, but they're millions and millions of dollars in these homes. But it's just the most beautiful landscape, and it was such a gem for all residents. And when they just changed that last week, it just broke so many of our fans and, friends' hearts. with
but
that
I think the
rate
big
change.
thing, well, two big call outs. One, like again, for riders, I would say like you can deal with it, right? Because
Yeah.
you just said
90,
$80 isn't that bad.
that's not
95,
stretching. That's
yeah.
not too bad of a stretch.
So, but I mean, I think the tough part is like for me, public golf is synonymous with walking. Again,
Yeah.
like you've been going through a torn hamstring. Like I've actually, since I've been playing with you, I think I've seen you walk maybe once, but there's a reason why you're karting. But the point is, I think like maybe this is me being like an old man, but like when I think public golf, I think put your bag or your push cart and get out there, right? So it's like, I guess maybe it's a pace of play thing, but I just don't understand like making me pay for a cart when I actively don't want one. I find that frustrating. But the other thing too, which to point out, and this is going to be more directed to you, you got to remember that 95 is for a resident. If you come play with me, man, you're talking 120, and that's even different, right? Like you're probably like 95 is like, like if I'm book us a tea time, are you going to be excited about paying 120?
Yeah, I mean, me being outside of the city, I don't go into the city to play as often as I would like because, only being 40 miles outside of San Francisco, 30 to 40 miles tops. It really doesn't draw me in to come play because you would think that they'd give you an all Bay Area rate, which Harding does. They do give you a discounted Bay Area resident rate. It's not anywhere near what the city rate is for most people that live in the city, but it is better than their steep $190, $200 rate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still looking at 140 to play Harding Park, which for 140, I would rather go play Wente or, I could drive up and play Silverado for that price, which holds the Safeway Open with the PGA Tour every year.
Hey, Chris, there's this really great golf course called Rams Hill in Borrego Springs, and you can go pay $130 to hit off fungus just for a friend. I'm just letting you know.
By the way, anybody that is listening to this podcast, go on to the Southern California Golf Association Instagram, and please make sure they do not win that bracket that they're
a number one seed.
They're a number one seed, and it makes no absolute sense because me and you together have played 60% of those courses on their list, and all of those courses on the list besides Rams Hill beats Rams Hill. I would even claim Soul Park beats Rams Hill. So
if you gave me play 10 rounds, pick a number, I'd say Rams Hill 1, Soul Park 9.
Yeah.
Price agnostic.
So please, we don't want to get back into Rams Hill.
I just had to throw a jab because again, we're talking like 120, 130, 140. We're talking super elite.
Yeah. And for some golfers out there, and it's not probably our demographic, that might still be a reasonable rate at the $100 to $140 range. Because yes, there are public courses out there or resort style courses like Pebble Beach. You're going to pay upwards of $300 to $400 to play. You go down to Torrey, you're going to, and you're outside, not a San Diego resident, you're going to pay a couple $100 to play it. You go to Stream Song, Passes, $325. So, the courses around the United States, they're, Sand Valley, all these courses, you're going to pay premiums. To Aaron Hills, you're going to pay premiums to go play these courses. But what our podcast is about is to find the true gems, wonderfully kept golf courses with great customer service and unique people that run these golf courses, and to showcase and focus on those type of experiences. And it can be a resort course like we experienced at Terra-Lago, where it's not a fully public track. It is for the people that are visiting, but you can get a crazy good rate. You can have a great golf experience, and they're out there. You can go to those types of places. But what we're talking about here with Presidio being, the local, watering hole for a lot of these, golfers in the city. It's just a travesty to see them kind of dig further and further into, the pockets of the locals. And I'll get charged, the full rate for being an outsider. I totally understand, but I've always thought the mantra of, take care of the locals and they will take care of the course, which means that they're going to go out and play. They're going to support in the bad times and always make sure, they take care of their local track. And I think this is kind of a slap in the face to a lot of the locals that have played Presidio for so long.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't feel as strongly. I'm just saying, like, because it's very self-serving, but it's like, it was 65 to walk. If you want to make it 70, even 75, but like, I don't want a cart. I like to walk. Don't make me like, I don't understand why I'm paying for a cart if I don't have to
and it's a tight piece of property. So it's not like
hilly,
walkers. It's a little hilly, but it's very walkable. The holes are right next to each other. It's not like you're walking an immense amount of time like at Rustic Canyon, hole to hole sometimes. And so I don't know why you deter people from having a beautiful day of walking through the park.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they're doing with that. It's not only raising the price, but I mean, if you're including the cart price, you're going to get a lot more people that are going to take carts. Yeah. And as we know, a lot of new golfers don't know great golf course etiquette as well. So in my mind, that's going to tear up the Presidio a little bit more as well, because there's going to be a lot of people driving where they're not supposed to. They're going to be driving closer to the greens. They're going to, be really tearing up the fairways, not knowing what a 90, entering the fairway in 90-degree angle and stuff like that is. And there's a lot of etiquette when it comes to also riding in a golf cart, which sounds ridiculous, but you don't want to just drive your golf cart all over the fairways, especially in a course in San Francisco, because it's in wetter conditions all the time. Yeah. So a heavy golf cart like that, puts a lot of strain on those fairways. So,
but we're banging the drum too hard. It's a great golf course. Everyone should play it.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
I think to your point, Chris, to kind of put a bow on this, I view this as my local track. And the only thing that I find a bit of a bummer, but again, also the sense I get is they have a very full tee sheet. So like, we're kind of yelling into the wind here.
Yeah.
I guess the tough part for me is I would love to be able to play the Presidio. I would love to just be able to book a tee time and play there a bunch. And at that cost, it's more of a place I play once a month. And that to me, like for my true local track, I would think like, cool, I'm there once or twice a week. I can just jump out there. Or like, for example, I was looking because I'm sort of thinking this way, like their twilight starts at 3:00 and I guess you can finish. It's 55, which like, I guess that's okay. Like the super twilight starts at 5 and the super twilight's $35. Like $35 to tee off at 5:00 feels, again, just like kind of expensive. Again, we're speaking to a specific kind of person, but again, it's just more of like, for those of us who love the Presidio, I would love if I could book it and think about price a little bit less, especially when there are tracks where it's like, some tracks we love. Again, I know we keep banging the drum on Soul Park, but it's like $34. You don't really have to think about that. Just go and play,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And getting into that, I think we transition over to Harding Park, which is, probably the most well-known golf course in San Francisco, out in the public, spectrum of golf. There's, of course, some of the most famous, private courses here in the city. But I would say, in the public sphere, Harding Park is the most well-known. The one thing I would say about Harding Park is, especially since they hosted the PGA Championship, I really think the conditions out there has been absolutely incredible. Like we said, the greens, of course, have been littered with ball marks, but it's a lot more of new golfers wanting to experience a course that the professionals played. So I think you're just getting a lot of people out there that might not necessarily follow the etiquette that we, hold so dearly to ourselves. I would love to see more golfers out there repair 2 ball marks every time they enter a green, even if they're not theirs. But that's just the etiquette I was taught as a kid and the etiquette you were taught as a kid. But, getting into it, Harding Park, it's a fairly straightforward golf course. I wouldn't say there's anything that's going to trick you within this course. It's, everybody remembers kind of what Bryson's take was when he talked about the course going into the PGA Championship, where he thought he could just rip drivers straight down the middle and then just defeat the golf course by just hitting it long. Where we all saw that, a little bit of finesse definitely helped, and Colin, brought that home, but there isn't much that you can get into. You kind of go into that. You just played it, this last Monday. What were your thoughts on your round out there?
Yeah, I think it's a great place. I think that, I will say that I don't think it's the most interesting golf course I've played, but that's okay. I was thinking about it knowing we're talking about this today, and I think that the front 9 it's fine. It's not the most compelling front 9. The back 9 is spectacular. I really think so. I think the routing just sets up where,
true,
basically for our listeners, the front 9 is sort of on the interior of the golf course, and then the back 9 sort of routes all around the outside. So you get just a bunch of cool experiences. Like my favorite hole, I know this is kind of ridiculous. My favorite hole is 11. It's a pretty straightforward par 3. But one thing I love is that it's right on the street. So basically, when I was playing on Monday, there's a bus parked. You can hear people talking. It's just really cool. In the same way I was saying the Presidio, it's awesome to kind of be up in the trees and kind of away from everything. One thing that I really love about Harding Park in certain parts of the golf course is you're very aware that you're playing city golf, but in a really fun way. It's this is a local track. Yes, this is hallowed ground where Tiger Woods walked and Colin Morikawa made eagle on 16. But it's also a place where a whole bunch of people just play public golf. And I think that's what I really appreciate about it. But the back 9, you get a lot of, you can see Olympic Club. You got the water right there, Lake Merced. It's a really fun track. But again, the reason I don't think it's super interesting in some ways is 2 reasons. One, go listen to Andy Johnson of the Fried Egg talk about it. He talks a lot about how when the TPC design services came in, they made the greens pretty boring and pretty flat. And I wish that wasn't true, but it's true. The greens aren't bad, but they're just not very interesting. You're going to have a lot of putts that break a cup, maybe not at all. I know that we were playing with our fellow RGC member, Anthony, and one thing Anthony and I talked a lot about, I hadn't played there in a while, was, yeah, man, you know what? You kind of just want to aim it at the hole and hit it hard. And that's a lot of things. That's not exactly a tough test of putting. It was more just hitting it hard at the hole. But I think it's fun. And I think the other issue is, we talked about this last week and it's really stuck with me. What we love in golf courses is options, right? Sure, there's the gill hands, you can hit all the stuff off the tee. But if we are around the greens, I like the option where it's you can play a 60-degree open, you can bump a 56, you can hit a 7-iron to keep it super low, you can putt it, you can hit a hybrid, you can do all these options. The thing that I found a bit frustrating being back out there is when you miss the green, you pull out a 60-degree, you open up the club face a little bit, and you just try to fly into a hula hoop, right? It's that's your only option. You cannot putt it, you cannot pitch it. You just need to hit a ball, that thick rough, right? Hope you get a good lie in the rough, kind of plop it up, hope it goes on the green. You got a pretty flat putt. So I would say that around the greens, it's not a very compelling golf course, which some listeners are going to be how can you even give it any endorsement? You guys, bitch and moan about greens all the time. How can you get behind a golf course that has pretty flat green complexes and a lot of rough? But I will say, the conditions are awesome. The routing is fun. And my take is Harding Park is a classic example of it all depends on what you pay. If someone's going to come out of town and pay the full freight, I don't know what that rate is. It's what, a couple hundred, if not more dollars.
$200.
Dude, don't do it. Go use that money at Pasa. Like go play Pasa Tiempo or go play Presidio. Like do something else.
Presidio for that, for less than that would be way better, and more entertaining golf.
Yeah, and also just no offense to anybody out there, but you're not going to drive the green and make eagle on 16. If you do, send receipts and I'll buy you a beer. But it's fun. But also last time when I was playing for a score, I was like, how about I just hit a hybrid and a wedge, right? I'm not Colin Morikawa. So I think it's fun. And for me, again, last Monday, $51, like all day, like not even close, right? So it's very much of like, if you're going to pay a reasonable rate, go play it. It's a really fun test of golf. And again, I know that many people are viewing this through the lens of it's a PGA, venue. It's also a public golf course. So it's like, be a little kinder to it. I mean, I'm sorry. The people are like, I'd rather play Lincoln 1,000 times over than Harding. I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand that.
And if you're thinking it's on level with other TPC tracks you've played,
it's not.
It's not a TPC San Antonio. It's not a TPC Sawgrass.
Or TPC West.
Or TPC West. Like it's not any of those. It's hard to put those all in the same, same category. You're not going to get the TPC experience that you get at some of those other ones at Harding Park. It's just, and that's not to hate on the course or conditions. I'll give the Supers all the respect. It is in wonderful shape for the amount of play that they get. And to be honest, if you do go out and play the Jack Fleming 9, it is also a very, very fun test of golf out there as well. And they just finished a great driving range and practice facility. So it is, and we don't want to hate on the facility or anything like that. And that's not what we're saying. We're just saying if you are not a San Francisco city resident and you're coming into the city to play golf, we would both recommend playing Presidio or go somewhere outside of the city. You could drive right over the Golden Gate Bridge, and there is 8 to 10 tracks that I can list off that you can play for under $75 with a cart, and have a much better time than you're going to at Harding, which means you could play 2 rounds of golf for the price it's going to cost you at Harding. Just on the other side of the bridge.
Go play a couple pods back. Go play Bodega. I mean, like seriously, like go do something like that. Again, no, but like it really does come down to like how much you're paying. Because no, it's great, and I think you and I both agree, Chris. Like, look, here's the deal. We love. I mean, I've never played there, but like there are some golf courses that maybe we're almost too respectful of, but like. For us, like, Augusta National, the old
rates are huge for us. And there's meccas and there's places that I will pay the $300 rate to go play Pasatiempo. And it is worth every freaking dime ever. But I'm not going to play that place more than maybe once every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, no, totally. And what I was going to say is like those, like Augusta, St. Andrews, there's certain places that like we want those to be sort of like cathedrals of golf, right? TPC Harding Park doesn't need to be that. What we need is we need more accessible golf. We need golf that, the greens might be not perfect because it's getting a bunch of public play. And that's the point of this podcast, right? We're not the C-suite. The idea is like, it's a little rough around the edges because the person before you, it may have been their first time. You know what? And I'm okay to fix their ball mark. I hope next time they fix it and you just go by your rear and keep going, right? That's okay. Like, I think people just get so angry because they see the TPC designation and all this stuff. And it's like, just like, it's a municipal golf course. Like, that's crazy. Because we saw
it was a parking lot at one time. That's the other thing you got to think about. When they held a professional event at
the Olympic Club.
At the Olympic Club, they used Harding Park as a parking lot.
I think it was the U.S. Open, right?
Yeah, at the Olympic Club, which I think the Olympic Club is also holding another big championship in professional golf coming up here soon. But hopefully they're not going to try to use Harding as the parking lot again, but
I don't think so at this
I
point.
don't think so at this point, not after the money they've spent on that track. But
Yeah.
Harding, and we'll die by it. Harding is in great shape. It's a great, great course all on its own. And you do get spectacular views on the back nine, like you were talking about, coming in that home stretch, coming down, 15, 16, 17, coming back to the clubhouse on 18 with the water on your left-hand side. It is a very picturesque, few holes that they have there. But I would say 11 of the holes I could slap into any golf course and put anywhere, and it would be what it is. They're not spectacular, amazing, or entertaining at all. And like you said, it is what it is. That it is Harding Park. It is something that they rebuilt and designed for the professionals that the public could play. So that's the easiest way to explain it is the course was built for professionals, and it was built for a specific type of golf. And if that's your type of golf and you love the hit it long and hit a wedge in type of play, by all means, Harding Park's going to be your
I was going to say the other thing for me is I think part of the reason I enjoy it is, I mean, like when I've played it the first time, my driver was like super on and I played great because like I was just bashing driver up by the green and hitting wedges on. Honestly, having played there, I was like, how did Bryson not win? Like if he won at Winged Foot, how the hell is like, I'm not trying to compare Harding Park to Winged Foot, but it's similar in style. So Chris, the one thing I'm curious about, I've not told you, I'm not prepared you for this, but I'd be curious to get your thoughts. When I played there last week, I noticed that they have kept the mowing lines, or Anthony pointed this out. They've kept the mowing lines from the PGA. So I assume, because I played there last time, I want to say a month after the tournament, and I was like, they've got to let this, they've got to mow back through. It's a municipal golf course, right? If they want to have it here again, they can always grow the rough back out. But I've noticed they've kept it so the fairways are pretty tight. What's your take on that? Because I've heard Andy Johnson talk in the past. He's like, when they modify a public course, they should take the golf course back to how it was. They can always adjust. But he's like, think about how many tens of thousands of rounds are going to take place in between. And what are you going to do? Make the justification for you're playing it the way they played. It's like, no, you're not. You're just not. So what do you think about that?
So they did keep the fairways a little bit tighter, and kept it very similar to what the PGA was, but they definitely have kept the rough shorter and more playable. And I think that's what offsets, the playability for most of the public is you're not going to have, 4 to 5 inches of rough almost that those guys were playing out of. It's more down to the 2 inches that you're accustomed to, 1 to 2 inches of rough. But yes, the fairways are much tighter. I don't know really what my take would be there. It's kind of like give or take. I definitely appreciate playing a course set up for the pros and kind of experiencing that. Does it need to stay that way a year after the championship happened? No. Especially if it's a public track that people call home. I think I'd want it to go back to what it was, but they're probably also trying to hang on to the whole we held the PGA Championship and make as much Skrilla as they can off of that that run. So more power to them. It is, like we said, it's a public golf course. So if they can make this extra money right now, especially they were closed for a short time, and they really weren't accessible to people outside of the city because of COVID. And so I think they're keeping it that way so now people can start to travel into the city, and now things are reopening up. So I think they're going to keep it that way for a little bit longer, just so that they can get, those people in that wanted to experience the PGA Championship, aspect of it. And that might be why they kept it that way. But yeah, I mean, I know you guys and a lot of people that we know in the city would love to see it go back to being a little bit more playable for the standard public. But
well, I was more just thinking pace of play, because like I wasn't blowing it everywhere, but like, man, me and Anthony, we had these
was it
two.
slow?
No, I more mean like I was hitting my ball not very far in the rough and was really struggling to find it. But we also played with these two former FBI agents. And one of these guys, like swear it's on, Anthony could attest to this, he found my golf ball in the rough like 6 times. Like where I was ready to drop a ball and just like, okay, I guess I just got to go. He's like, it's right here.
Damn.
We're like, is this guy like a sniper or something? Like it was unbelievable. But I'm more just thinking where it's like, because that rough, while not super thick, it's thick enough where I was continually just like walking by my golf ball. So there's a part of me, it's like, yo, like if you like, I'm all about this being a municipal golf course, but like maybe take the fairways back to where they're not like, little ribbons, maybe like, I don't know, just like make sure that people are playing. But in fairness, we played a 4.5 hour round. It goes nothing crazy, but then next, I guess we got after Harding. I mean, I guess our last and final course, there couldn't be a more different juxtaposition between Harding and Gleneagles, huh?
Oh my God, no. Like, so completely opposite in the way that these two courses play, are laid out, and the atmospheres that you experience at both of these are absolutely completely different. So like you might have remembered, and like Ashton wants to do a little bit of fact checking on me, Gleneagle is kind of the weekend warrior or weekday warrior kind of golf course in San Francisco. It's kind of the local watering hole for a lot of people. It's that, quick round you're trying to get in after work kind of golf course, or just the, meet some buddies and throw $1 a hole out for cash games, or $100 to $10,000 a hole from some of the stories that I've heard. And, I've spent my fair time out at Gleneagles and had some really good fun and heard some insane, crazy stories. And I can't say if they're true or not, but from some of the people that work there, and some of the people that work the pro shop, there's a lot of tech companies that are in Silicon Valley and in the city, and a lot of those guys are golfers. And so Gleneagles has always been known as the betting golf course in the city from pretty much everybody that you talk to in San Francisco. Gleneagles is kind of the skins mecca of San Francisco. So from what I've heard, some tech guys and some people, pull up in their, Porsches and Maseratis. And if you've ever been to Gleneagles, this is not a course that you would ever think that those are the cars you're going to see in the parking lot. The clubhouse is this shack. You first off, to kind of lay it out to anybody that's never been to Gleneagles, when you drive up to the entrance of this golf course, there's a little wood sign right outside the golf course that just says Gleneagles Golf Course in just plain font, nothing special. It's just this wood sign right out there with this road that kind of goes up into this forest-like, scenario, and you're just like, okay. So you pull in there, little rinky-dink parking lot that's just the tiniest thing you've ever seen as well, in this shack on top of this hill that is their pro shop. And usually the pro shop attendant and whoever else is working is usually outside smoking, drinking a couple beers, hanging out with the locals. And it's a very laid back vibe. There's no pressures coming into there. You can show up in a t-shirt, and jeans straight off of work, and it's no issues. You're going to meet everybody from, a plumber to construction workers to, tech moguls that go out and play at Gleneagles. So it's a really interesting and crazy take out there. How many times have you played out there, Ash?
Once, but it has a really special place. It has a really special meaning to me because that was the
That's
famous
right.
story. Well, it's not famous. No one's listening to this podcast, but the time, I DM'd Kanan and was like, "Hey, I'm in the St. Louis park,
right.
Chick-fil-A parking lot. Can I join?" And I DM'd, the GM out there. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely a moment.
But that shows how laid back it is.
For sure.
You Venmo'd a stranger, aka the GM of Gleneagles,
and
$30.
He's like, "It's gonna be a guy's name, but don't worry, it's legit." And I was like, okay. But no, but it was great. I mean, I think the thing that really stood out to me more than anything was, I don't know that I believe their take. Like, what does it say, Chris, on their website? They're the fastest Muni greens.
Which I know for a fact that me and you both would say
No.
they are not San Francisco's fastest Muni greens.
Yeah, literally the banner of their website says San Francisco's fastest Muni greens. I can't say that's true, but one thing I will say for sure, they just should have said San Francisco's most diabolical greens. Because when we were out there, there were so many times we were playing, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, not sure how it's breaking, double breaks. Like, I don't know that they're the fastest, but they were very pure and very complicated. I think we should say this. Conditions are a bit tough out there outside of the greens, but I'm fine with that, man, especially at the price. Like, give me good, complicated green complexes, no problem. Like, it's a really cool place.
Well, and that's the take that we had with Lincoln was, if they just had some decent greens, it would be worth the money that they're charging.
If Lincoln had Gleneagles greens,
exactly,
it would be dope.
We wouldn't have anything bad really to say about Lincoln other than maybe getting a little bit more grass into their fairways. But yeah. I would even take what they've got right now with some good greens. So,
or even with that, I mean, I haven't thought about this till right now, but like, if you took those green complexes and put them at Harding, it up levels Harding. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, many people would say Gleneagles is sort of like the bottom of this list because it's like a quirky, weird 9-hole track. But I will give them credit, like, especially their greens complexes trickiness. Like, if you put those greens on either Harding or Lincoln, it fundamentally upraises. And honestly, that's going to sound like a huge indictment of TPC Design Services, which I guess it is. But like, yeah, they're really fun greens to go play. And it makes a total sense why there's a bunch of cash games, because I heard that, like, Kane in our group was saying that when we were playing. And I was like, oh, okay. By the third hole, it's like, yeah, if I was playing out here with a guy who'd played here like 100 times,
I would get all your money.
Even if I was ball striking my ass off, I would get exposed, because that 6-footer, he's going to play 4 feet of break and it's going to fall in the side of the hole. Like, you would never know that looking at that putt.
Yeah, and with that, also Gleneagles is known for the best 19th hole as well. So if you've never been to Gleneagles, their bar is something to behold. It is probably one of my favorite bars in the entire city of San Francisco. Outside of the golf course, even, it is one of the best. Some of the people that you meet and some of the personalities that you experience, it's unmatched to any other place that you're going to go to. I would say it might be my favorite 19th, hole or bar at any golf course I've ever been to.
I mean, it says on their website, the finest 19th hole in all of the golf kingdom. So, I mean, maybe their marketing is better than we think.
That might be a true statement. I definitely would believe that take, because it is one of the pictures that they actually pop up on the website when you actually pull it up. That shows you how much they respect their 19th hole. But
again, I moved there in the middle of the vid, so would love to, once we're vaccinated and can do that, would love to go and have an indoor drink with you in that lovely establishment.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorites by far. And I would say Gleneagles is probably one of my favorites for the price in the city as well, if you're going to test it. So to end the pod, what I want to do is I want us to rank our top, favorite golf course in the city to our least favorite. And that doesn't mean that our least favorite is a horrible golf course. You shouldn't go experience it, because to be 100% honest, all of these golf courses, no matter our takes on them, are fun to play. They all have their specific experiences that you will get out of them. And the views and parkland style golf that you're going to get at every single one of these tracks are worth at least playing once. So Ash, saying that, favorite to least favorite, go.
I'm going to get lit on fire, but it's Presidio, Harding, Gleneagles, Lincoln. I mean, I think Lincoln's views are great, but like, as someone who grew up in a household, like I told this story, my dad told me when I was a kid, he's like, I'll hit off of sand as long as there's good greens. Until Lincoln does something about their greens, again, even if it was $15, I don't really care if I'm going to go spend 4.5 hours, 5 hours with you guys. I love spending time with you guys, but I want to putt on something that's not, what did I say, moist? I forgot that. Slimy. So for right now, give me the kind of janky 9-hole track with diabolical greens, and who knows? I'm a resident. Maybe I'll go out there and in my 2005 Honda hatchback, so not a Tesla, maybe take some money off some people someday.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I might be crucified with my list here too. I would definitely put.
Are we both about to put Lincoln last?
Lincoln is absolutely last, and I'm actually listing. So my list is going to be Presidio, Harding Park, Gleneagles. I'm going to actually take that back, and I'm going to put Golden Gate Park before Gleneagles, which in my mind, to be honest, for me, Golden Gate Park and Gleneagles are side by side in that race.
That's why I didn't rank it.
Exactly. And so those are almost a tie for third. And I'm just going to say it. The greens are what hold me up at Lincoln.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the views, and I love the walk through the park. Anytime I do get out and play Lincoln.
And it's a hard test of golf, man. I mean, there's some par threes, like what, number 16, I think.
And that's what kills us, both of us.
It's like a 230-yard par. Like there's back-to-back 200-yard par threes where you're going to get exposed.
Right so there's also, I can't remember what hole it is. It's a dogleg right. It's a really, almost a 90-degree dogleg right. And you can hit a corner shot right over the trees and land the green at about a 275 yard drive if you cut the corner right. And it is one of the funnest holes I've ever played. It is absolutely incredible. It is so good. It's, I think, the hole right after the Legion of Honor.
Oh yeah, that's 10, 11, that's 12.
Yeah, so it's a.
Because if you hit it straight, you hit it in the bush, and you are fucked.
Yep. So if that's the thing. You hit like 180
it's like 6-iron wedge. It's like 6-iron wedge or it's driver. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's got a crazy green complex and kind of a Gil Hansish like mound thing in front.
Yeah.
Really cool hole.
It's a really cool hole, and that's the thing. It drives both of us up the fucking wall. That course is such a beautiful landscape, beautiful layout, and cannot get the money or agronomists in there. And I don't even want to say anything about the superintendent and what they're doing there, but they need help. I don't know if it's financially, I don't know if it's other people, but if they can get that golf course just 30% better, it would absolutely be a gem. But
yeah, and I know sometimes people like this is we could have talked about Sharp Park, but that's in Pacifica, which is objectively not San Francisco.
Even though
I think the hard part is
ran by the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, it's very strange. But like my thing is like it could use a little love conditioning wise, but I don't think they need to change the routing or really kind of change bunkers at Lincoln a bunch. I think it's more of truly the greens and like a little bit of stuff. The thing with Harding with Sharp is like it just kind of like needs an entire facelift. You're like, oh, that's a McKenzie bunker. Like it's like looking at my Honda and saying, well, it could be a Tesla. It's like that's kind of looking at the bunkers where it's like, I mean, if you think that's a McKenzie bunker, like you're just hoping because like it's not. So I think that's where Lincoln is, to your point. I think with a much less amount of money, Lincoln becomes much better. Where I love Sharp, like Sharp just needs help across the board.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sharp is for another podcast. We'll definitely have to dedicate, a whole pod kind of on Sharp Park and the whole history behind that. But it's just one of those courses where if the price was right, it would be 100% worth it. But for the conditions and the price that they're getting, and it's just in both of our minds, it's one of the last courses that either one of us like to play when we're going out to play golf in the city. So,
and with that, we decided to light ourselves on fire and have all of our friends, when this goes out, get really, really angry. But I don't know. You guys are real golfers. You like to putt, and name one thing that you really like that's slimy. Actually, don't answer that. But never mind. We're not. No.
All right.
Oh man, that's what happens when it's late on. Yeah, that's what happens when it's late on a Monday night.
All right, my guy. Well, as always, a pleasure. Enjoy chatting with you. I can't wait. Can't wait for next week. What do we got this week? We've got Foxtail up in Roner Park. Unfortunately, it looks like I might be doing 36 on my lonesome, or if I can wrangle in one of our RGC buddies to come up and be our fourth, it might just be me and him. But I think Ash and our producer Jack are going to come up and play the South course with me Saturday morning. And then I'm going to play the North course after that and get a full 36 in. So that's our plan this weekend. We'll let you guys know. I think it's the first time all of us have played there. So yeah, we'll give you guys a little insight on how our experience was at Foxtail. And then week after that, we got invited out to play Chardonnay in Napa, which you just got to experience, which was, in my mind, Chardonnay is one of my favorite courses. I'm excited to get out there again and get a little refresher on the golf course and get my mind right. And we'll have to do a great review on that as well. Because every time I go out there, I get great customer service.
Yep.
Everybody across the board, from the bar and grill to the pro shop to the kids that wash your golf clubs when you get off the 18th tee and drop off the golf cart, they're all spectacular. And the rates that you pay out in Chardonnay are bar none.
Yeah,
one of the best prices that you're going to get across the bay.
And we've said this, but we want to make sure we say this again and just keep saying it. They did invite us out, but our promise to our listeners is we are always going to be honest. This is not going to be a fluff job. This is not going to be we both know, we've both played Chardonnay and like it, but we're going to be honest about how our day was. Our commitment is it's been so invigorating to have people texting both of us, saying hey, I went and played Dark Horse because of you guys. Shout out to you, Ian. Or my buddy home in Atlanta, Chris, was hey, I picked up golf during COVID and I'm going to go play River Pines. And very honestly, that's the reason we're doing this. We want to send we've had horrible experiences. It was Diablo Valley. I always forget which one it is.
Yeah.
We've had some horrible experiences, and all we want is for you guys to not get hyped up to build your Saturday around a course where there's going to be a 4-hour 9-hole round. So our commitment to you always is we're always going to tell you how it is, because we're trying to, make sure that when you book that tee time at a course we suggest, again, it may be a bad day for pace to play. Don't know that kind of stuff, but we're always going to be honest. We're always going to be forthright.
We're always going to go into that too. And some courses are going to have off days where you're going to have a slow pace of play and things like that, but we're going to talk about it. And it's things that we're going to bring up and we're going to let you know. And we're going to let you know in our past experiences as well. So if maybe the time that we get invited out, the pace of play is really slow, we're going to let you know that. But then we're also going to let you know both of us have played that course multiple times and have had zero bad experiences when it comes to pace of play and things like that. But like you said, anytime that we get invited out, because I do reach out to these courses before we go out and play. And I do want to create, kind of a rapport with some of these courses, because I like to get a little bit of background and some information on these courses too when we go out, and to know the people and get a little background on the people that run it is always awesome as well. Which, shout out Sweetens Cove back near your hometown. Reached out to them, and he's very excited to have us out there. So we're gonna have to get that plan, get out there ASAP. So
I went twice in 2020, and it's hallowed ground, man. And again, also you want to play this game. You know how much it is to play Sweetens Cove all day, sun up to sundown? $100.
And I haven't been there. Ash can contest on Sweetens Cove. The conditions you experience for $100 all day play are probably some of the most unmatched. And there's a reason why so many respected, people within the, golf media space, go there and experience there, and why the No Laying Up guys own a home on this golf course and rent it out to other sickos like us. It is, as you were one of those sickos that rented the course or the house, they have their own tee box in the front yard, which just, it shows the kind of experience and vibe that you're going to get going out there. And so, getting responses and things like that, like we are from some of these courses, gets us really excited to continue to do this for our listeners, continue to get out there experiencing these new, courses in areas that me and you have not experienced, which, I'm very ranged in Portland and Oregon golf scene and in the Bay Area and Northern California golf scene. But I'm really excited to go out and experience the scene that you grew up around in the South, and the Robert Trent Jones Trail that you've experienced in Sweetens Cove. And so
Robert Trent Jones, $103, all you can play any of the courses with a cart. Like, we're going to do it, man. But but again, I just, for the 50th time, we're always going to be honest with you guys. Because I think, as we know, time is money, and golf, you're choosing to spend 4, 5, 6 hours away, whether, I don't care if you're single, whatever you're choosing to spend that time playing golf, and we want you to have the best possible time.
And we're going to be traveling across, throughout our experiences with this podcast. We're going to share all of them with you guys. We're going to start, hopefully, when things open up and we are able to get on an airplane and travel, we're going to start, doing that, and really giving you guys reviews across the country and get those included in here, which I'm really excited about. I know you're excited about. And for people that don't know, we self-fund this podcast. So when we do reach out and we do get the assistance from these courses, that is for us to be able to go out and experience these. But that doesn't mean, like Ashton said, we are going to water down our experience and give you guys this bland bullshit. It's always going to be 100 from us. We're always going to give you guys the real takes. That's been our promise from the beginning. So we can't wait. We're so excited to get this going and get more reviews and more experiences out there for you guys. So, all right, we've chatted enough. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're excited. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Let's go. See ya.